Key Appeal's Education First campaign helps children to get access to quality education.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, and this is Salam Media Highlights, where we bring you voices reshaping our world from the ground top. Today, we'll be speaking to a young South African who's causing ripples both here at home and now abroad. At just 21, Pieter Kriel has emerged as a defiant and vocal critic of racial inequality in South Africa, colonial legacy, and most importantly, white complacency. And now he's taking his advocacy beyond South Africa's borders. I'm sure you've seen his face. He's been trending on Twitter and on TikTok in the last few months. And now, in I think what we can all consider an unprecedented move, and I think a move that's almost unheard of, especially among young people. Doesn't matter whether black or white, but young people of South Africa. Kriel recently traveled to Palestine on a personal fact-finding mission of some sort, and we'll be chatting to him in a bit just to get insights on number one, what motivated this trip, and what has he observed in Palestine in itself. I think he's coming to us live from Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll be having a conversation about, I think, what is one of the most pressing issues of our time right now, the genocide that we're seeing unfold in Gaza, and the complacency of the United States of America and a lot of the Western countries. And we'll be unpacking all of it with Pieter, who's on the ground right now. Pieter, welcome to Salam Media. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you giving us your time, and looking forward to an insightful, interesting conversation with you.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure speaking with you. I'm in Jerusalem, so if I'm sweating a bit, do excuse me. It's very hot. But yeah, let's get it going.
We envy you because you ran away from the cold here in South Africa. I think we can kickstart the conversation with the trip in itself. I think when a lot of South Africans got introduced to you, it was about South Africa and the national discourse, white complacency, the legacies of apartheid and colonialism here in South Africa. We know that South Africa and Palestine very, very intertwined. Our struggles, our history, very parallel to each other. Is that what advised that decision for you to make your way to Palestine, to the occupied territories of Palestine?
Well, absolutely. I think that when we look at the immense suffering and pain going on in the world, not just in Palestine, but in Congo and in Sudan, and all of that, it takes a toll on me as a person. I feel like it affects me personally, and that I have to do something more than just watch TikToks and watch YouTubes and play sports and all of that. I think that the world needs to talk about these things more openly. We need to discuss it. We need to fight about it, to bring peace to this world. And obviously, I don't think that I will be the one to do that. I think that's an ignorant and arrogant perspective. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to lay the foundations to inspire more people to do what I'm doing, whether it be a fight against imperialism and a fight against any sort of apartheid. When one person is suffering, we are all in reality actually suffering. And once we realize that, the future can only be much more brighter.
And I think that's very, very important to note. The issue of Palestine, I think it has become what I consider necessarily polarizing, because the facts are there for everyone to see. As a young white South African, I think already on the radar because of some of the stances you've made with regards to racial inequality here in South Africa. Has there been backlash, from your circles, from the white community in general, about your stance on Palestine, and has that gotten to you, and what kind of message is it sending about what majority of white South Africans think and feel about what's really going on in Palestine, and most importantly, how South Africa should be responding to it?
I think the majority of South Africans, and I say this not as a white South African and not just two white South Africans, I think the majority of South Africans really don't know the immense pressure on the people of Palestine. I mean, I can't say too much right now until I get back, but the people are suffering. And when we look at that, I think people have a misunderstanding of what is happening here, because in my opinion, people look at religious texts, specific religious texts, and then they justify their support of the Zionist regime. And I think that it's plain stupidity. What we need is human empathy. We need logic. We need reasoning. Um, and I think when people do some research firsthand, right, empirical, historical, archaeological, statistical research, they will come to realize that what is happening here will affect the whole world in a very short time. And when we speak specifically about what's happening in Gaza, in my opinion, what's happening there is only about to spread to other parts of Israel and Palestine, as well as other parts if we don't contain it. People have a misunderstanding of what is happening. They see people driving cars, but people carry passbooks. People don't have food. People are not allowed to enter their own lands where they've planted olive trees. And to me, that is inhumane. I think equality always looks like oppression to the oppressor. And that is a very important quote. I'm always blunt. I don't mince my words. I'm unapologetic, and I will never change that, even if my own community gets offended. The amount of suffering going on here, the amount of mothers and fathers crying themselves to sleep every night breaks not just my heart, but my team's heart. And we think South Africans deserve to know that what's happening here has already happened in South Africa.
And you mentioned something very, very interesting, the fact that a lot of South Africans don't necessarily know and quite understand what's happening in Palestine and what's happening in Gaza, and just the extent of how bad things are. I mean, you're only Jerusalem to Gaza is like 100 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken, so it's not that far. What would you say shaped your consciousness on Palestine? What made you take interest to want to know and understand what's happening in Palestine, in Gaza, and ultimately how it relates to South Africa, a place that you've so passionately been unequivocal when it comes to its history and the imbalance of race relations here in the country?
Absolutely. Well, I think we have to look at history, take it back a bit. In 1948, 1949, apartheid started in two places in the world, and that is, of course, South Africa and Israel. And not that I blame or scapegoat everything on the United States, but coincidentally, it was funded by the United States, both regimes, in Tel Aviv and as well as in Pretoria. So my fight is not against the United States, it's not against the people of Israel or the white people of South Africa. My fight is against imperialism. My fight is against ethnic nationalism. My fight is against inequality and human suffering. I believe that dignity has to prosper. And the only way that we can do that is by stepping on the tails of some people who unjustly comment on this without actually knowing what is happening. I've received a lot of comments lately saying that, Pieter, there's a lot of problems in Africa. Why didn't you start in Africa? And I always take this quote back to Nelson Mandela, even though I don't agree with him on everything. I think that our struggle goes hand in hand with the struggle of the Palestinian people. And I don't think he meant it literally, that without our freedom, they cannot have freedom and vice versa. I think what he meant was, even if we are free as South Africans on paper, right? If the people of Palestine are suffering, there's an Ubuntu to that, right? We're humans and have the ability to feel empathy unlike any other animals. And that is why we need to resonate. We need to empathize. And we need to do proper history, right? We need to say no to Western imperialism. We need to say no to ethnic nationalism. And we need to say no to racism and ideologies that only harm innocent women and children.
We often hear of, accusations of performative activism, if I can call it that, when it comes to white allies in global struggles. How do you navigate that criticism? I'm sure even here in South Africa is something that you probably came across. And what does authentic solidarity look like to you as a person who's not of color,
Yes.
in a sense?
I think personal authenticity and not performative activism looks like a person not speaking to the people suffering or to people of color, but with and alongside them, right? I've never advocated on behalf of anyone. I think that everyone has their own voice and they have their own power if they stand up for their rights. What I want to do is I want to speak alongside people and remind them that they have a voice. Um, I've received comments of people calling my activism performative. I've been in Hebron. I've heard shots next to me. I've been in Nablus. We saw people killed. Not whilst we were there, but a week earlier. We saw the graves and the blood stains of people being killed on a daily basis, right? So it's not like I'm sitting in a grand hotel in Tel Aviv. I've been in the works, and I've communicated with Palestinians in refugee camps. I was on foot. I spoke to them on foot alongside my team. I think everyone is entitled to their own opinion. If they want to call my activism performative, at least I'm not a keyboard warrior.
Mm. And that's something you've spoken about before, that many activists are digital first, but you've always emphasized a commitment to grassroots organizing. Tell us about your trip in its true and whole sense. What are you hoping to achieve there? What kind of work are you guys doing there? And how have you been received by the people of Palestine, with them knowing what they know about South Africa, the ICJ case, and South Africa essentially spearheading that project, but you coming and not necessarily, I would think, not looking like what they would expect to see?
Yeah. Well, of course, they are shocked to see that there's actually people coming in for a bit. I'm joined by Nkosi Zulu, who is my colleague and who is producing this documentary with me. And that is the reason why we're here. We want to show the parallels between apartheid here and apartheid in South Africa. And we think that South Africans would be the best people to empathize with the story, because South Africans have lived through apartheid. So no, it's not like we're here on tourism. We are working every single day from 8 to 5, filming, interviewing people, and that is why I've been quiet, because we are stitching everything together, and we'll probably have a produced documentary in about 2 or 3 weeks once we return to South Africa. I think I want to go back to the grassroots movements you spoke about. I think that's very important. Speaking to people in Palestine who've received us with immense kindness and generosity and with kind hearts, I think it's important that we talk to South Africans and tell them that they have to come here. They don't have to come and live here, but they need to come and see what is happening. We need to put as many tourists or foreigners here as possible, so that we can stop the immense suffering, even if it's just temporarily, so that negotiations and things like that can take place. But yeah, we are looking forward to the final product, which of course will be available in South Africa in a short while.
Definitely looking forward to that. My next question is, you are in Palestine right now, and you're witnessing everything firsthand, stuff that people often just read about, hear about or see on social media. Why, with that knowledge, why do you think there's still so much insistent on, especially white South Africans' point of view, that there is no genocide in Gaza? Palestinians are instigators, because of October the 7th, making people believe that this whole catastrophe started on October the 7th. But as you mentioned, the first Nakba back in the 1960s, that's when it started. Why is there still such deliberate ignorance, even when there are facts that have been placed about a genocide, a real genocide, not the fake white genocide that's happening here in South Africa? And they're saying, well, just and this is one that they always like throwing at you. If it's not you being anti-Semitic, is, well, Hamas and the Palestinians should bring back the hostages, and all of this will stop. Why do you think that stance and that posture is always taken, instead of accepting the truth and everything that has been documented ever since October the 7th, and even way before that?
Yeah, well, look, I've not been to Gaza, but we've been in the West Bank for most of the time, and I can tell you that the people we've received are people who have absolutely nothing. The only kind of weapons they have are slingshots and rocks, and comparing a child throwing a rock to an army vehicle is like throwing a rock at an atom bomb, right? There's no comparison. We have to understand that people here, basically, their movement is limited. They can't see their families. If one is in Hebron and they've been moved to another city, I spoke to a taxi driver. He's seen his family 2 times in the last 5 or 6 years. And we have to understand that when people are hungry, they get angry. The children, the women are being attacked. We saw first-hand footage of people being killed for no reason other than just sitting or waiting in line for food, right? And I think when people has had enough, they revolt, and they do it the only way they can, by throwing a rock. But it's very important to know that Hamas does not represent all of these people, and never will. I think it's situated in Gaza, and really not in the West Bank. The people here are not trustworthy of political parties or political movements, because they've seen all of this performative stunts before. They've seen all the activists with cameras and with all of that coming in, but really nothing has changed. And I think why nothing has changed is because every time we come here, it's for the likes and for the comments, and it's not to tell the story of the people that actually live here, right? They've all had the questions of, what's the politics about? Have you done this? Have you did this, right? Nobody asks them, what is praying like to you on a daily basis? How do you feed your family? Are you happy? Things like that. And that is what we are coming to tell.
This is Salam Media.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Gaza needs your support more than ever. Homes have been shattered and families have lost everything. With your support, our teams are delivering clean water tankers, feeding the hungry, and assisting orphans who have no one left. Let us give Gaza whatever help we can. African Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, donations. Call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Mayer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Mayer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Mayer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Mayer Group on 078 786 1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Mayer, where every detail matters.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Has there been resistance from the Israeli authorities when it comes to you guys' movements, you guys being present there, and especially being South African? We know about the ICJ case, and we know the diplomatic severed relations that we have with Israel now. Was that hard? Did they make it difficult for you guys to work? And
Entry was very difficult. I was probably questioned for around an hour or two, and eventually, I think they. It was easier for them to let me in and keep an eye on me than deny me and me making a global fuss. So I think that was their intention. But of course, every few kilometers, there are checkpoints where you have to stop and people look through your bags and they humiliate you, especially if you're Palestinian. I think my white skin has protected me, and that's why I think it's important to use my privilege not to bad things, but to come here and to show a story that needs to be told.
And just psychologically and emotionally, just being 100 kilometers away from Gaza, where one of the worst modern day human catastrophes is taking place. I mean, a genocide, essentially. I think that word kind of encapsulates everything that's happening in Gaza at this moment. Just being so close, when it comes to proximity to that kind of devastation, psychologically, what does it do to you emotionally? Can you feel it and sense it in the air, even though it is just a distance away from you?
You feel conflict in the air. You feel the tension running up your neck, seeing people who have nothing, right, but still have hope and still smile. I said the day after I landed, or the day after I came into Palestine, I told my partner that I would never be the same again. I would probably never look at the world the same again. I have a very angry heart towards humanity. I think we've absolutely failed, not just the people of Palestine, but the people in Africa and the South Americas, in Asia. And I think humanity to thus far has disgracefully handled the situation. And we need to wake up and smell the coffee, ladies and gentlemen. We are humans. We need to empathize with one another, and we need to stop this nonsense.
Most definitely. Let's talk about the involvement of young people, especially here in South Africa. There's one thing that always really bugged me when it comes to Palestinian solidarity in the country. The fact that there's this misconception that it has a face, it has a religion. Here in South Africa is largely, Muslim people that you'd see on the streets protesting and making sure that the voice of Palestinians is amplified. How important is it to not change that narrative, but to be a part of it, to show a united South Africa that is behind, Palestine and the cause of the people of Palestine?
I think it's important that South Africans get together. and we talk about things like this, whether that be on social media, in grassroots campaigns, in community assemblies, or whatever. We need to look, firstly, we need to look inward. We need to realize that what happened in South Africa was a crime against humanity, but it was also a kind of blueprint for South Africans to realize that what is happening in other parts of the world really happened in South Africa. And whether it's more drastic or not, that doesn't matter. When a person is suffering, we need to say something. South Africans, as we probably know, we only get along at rugby games and soccer matches and things like that. And I think that is performative. We've not had the time to really get together and to get to know each other and to assimilate and to evolve the South African identity into a more inclusive, empathetic, logic and reasoning based psyche. And that is what we need to do. And I think we start doing that by reforming our education system, which is still based in Western imperialist notions. I think that's very important. Curriculum needs to be changed or adapted. People need to learn the truth about history, not from a one-side perspective. And we need to talk to people outside of our comfort zone, whether that be people of color, gay people, lesbian people. Even if we don't agree with them, we need to speak with them, because we need to be placed out of our comfort zone, because only then can we grow as a human being.
There's a video I want to play here, and I just saw it while I was going through your social media, and it's just you with these Palestinian kids, and it was a beautiful, light, innocent moment. Let's talk about the kids. They are among some of the most affected when it comes to the genocide in Gaza and the occupied territories. What was it like interacting with them, interacting with the children of Palestine who are growing up under these abnormal circumstances?
It was heartbreaking to see children who, some of live in rubble and some who really don't have enough food to eat, still smile, or really they don't have a future. You see children working in the streets from the morning to the afternoon and things like that. It's heartbreaking because children, especially children, are supposed to go to school and play with friends and learn. And that just makes me look inward and realize how lucky I was as a South African, as a white South African, to be able to have had all the immense privilege that I have or had. And I think everyone needs to see this for themselves, because it makes you wonder why were you so lucky to be born where you were born.
And I think that's something we sometimes take for granted. Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. And I'm sure, once you come back, we'll have a bit more interactions, because I think it's always refreshing to get a perspective of someone that's been in Palestine, because of just how closed off it has been and how polarizing the issue is. Having you there and experiencing the occupied territories, I think is something very, very special. And you need to tell the story. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
There you go. That's Pieter Kriel coming to us from Jerusalem, young white South African who went on a fact-finding mission to Jerusalem, to Palestine. This is amidst this genocide that's taking place only 100 kilometers away in Gaza. And yeah, really interesting conversation. We're going to take a quick break. News and views will be back after this.
Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and we've come to the back end of the show. Thank you so much for staying with us for 2 hours and 11 minutes. It's been another incredible conversation, and I hope you enjoyed that really insightful conversation that I had with Pieter Kriel. With that being said, I want to make an announcement. As I mentioned, that it's going to be a very, very busy month for us here on Salam Media. Our Global Voices for Gaza campaign has officially kicked kicked off. There's a banner I want my technical producer to put up on screen. So it's our Global Voices for Gaza campaign, and we're going to be bringing you, I think, one of the most exciting young journalists to come out of Gaza at this current moment, Abubakar Abed. He's only left Gaza, I think it was 3 months ago, and he's currently in Ireland at this current moment, and he'll be making his way to South Africa. He's very, very powerful. He's very insightful when it comes to articulating the true and lived experiences of the people of Gaza. And I think it's going to be a really refreshing one because he's a young person. He's someone that I think a lot of us can relate with. He's in tune and in touch with social media. You can follow him on Twitter at Abubakar Abed, and you can just follow how he articulates, how he almost takes you to Gaza without you having to step a foot there. So he's going to be joining us from the 21st to the 30th of August this upcoming month. And he's coming with a veteran, Ali Abunima. I'm sure you know about him. He's the director of Electronic Intifada, another platform that's making big difference when it comes to Palestinian discourse, especially in Europe and in America, and how challenging the narrative of mainstream media is becoming so important. So very important and very, I think, powerful guests that are going to be making their way to South Africa as part of our hashtag Global Voices for Gaza. We do this every year or every twice a year, I think, depending on the circumstances. We brought I think Yumna El Sayed down. We brought Dr. Matt Gilbert down. We brought Hamza Shalan down. And these two is going to be a really interesting, exciting, eye-opening, and insightful tour on the 21st to the 30th of August. We're going to be kickstarting in Cape Town. So if you are in Cape Town, you want to be a part of it, all the contact details that you need are there on the banner. You can contact our CEO, Puntimo Letsan, on 081 569 9770, or you can call the station, Salam Media, on 011 680 0355. And we'll also be making our way to Durban, and also we'll be wrapping up the tour here in Johannesburg. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the hashtag Global Voices for Gaza campaign. This is a media tour. There's going to be a host of events that we're going to be carrying out, universities, public platforms, and public engagements that we're going to be having with these two. And we want you to be a part of it. This is an initiative that is very, very powerful, and it's going to be one that is going to assist and strengthen independent journalism. And that's where you come in, because we want you to support platforms like Salam Media. I think there's only a few platforms like ours that is quite unequivocal when it comes to the true and lived realities of the people of Gaza and just the world in its entirety. I think it's not just Gaza where there's attention needed, but at this moment, I think we can all agree that it is the house that is burning, and it is the house that needs attention, and we'll definitely be doing that with our hashtag Global Voices for Gaza. Again, from the 21st to the 30th of August, if you have any questions, you want to be a part of it, you want to join, you want to contribute towards it, you can give us a call on 011 680 0355. We've come to the end of the show. The Lens 70 podcast is going to be coming up next with the ever so experienced Nach Makota. Inadwad is coming back tomorrow for the Friday edition, the Juma edition of News and Views. But from myself, Salailo Makwideri, and the rest of the team, it's goodbye for now.